Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am talking about my weight loss journey, what that looks like, how did I do it, and spoiler, it's through intermittent fasting. So if you're interested on how I went from this to this, how I lost 70 pounds, how long did it take me, what did I munch on during that time, what does the maintenance look like now, did I gain that weight back? Then this video is for you. So first things first, what is intermittent fasting? Intermittent fasting is the idea or the action of fasting during the day for an allotted period of time. The most common one is 16-8, which is where you fast for 16 hours out of the 24-hour cycle, and you eat for an 8-hour window. That's the one I was doing. I was on the 16-8. I enjoyed it. It took me a tiny bit of time to get used to it, but overall it was a pretty easy cycle. I mean, I started eating at 10 o'clock in the morning and I would finish my last meal or snack by 6 o'clock that evening. Obviously, sometimes life gets in the way. There's things that are going on. So it might be 10:30 to 6:30, or some days it might be 9:30 to 5:30, but I kind of generally kept that area, and basically no snacking, nothing after 6 o'clock at night, which it was a struggle. Sometimes it was a struggle, but I took those in stride. And if I was starving or I was really hungry, whatever the case is, I would have a snack. It's important to note that if you are interested in intermittent fasting, it's not, if you mess up once, you're screwed. Like, it's never gonna work for you. That's not true. I snacked. Sometimes at nighttime I would snack. I'd be so hungry. I wouldn't have used my 8-hour eating window very well. I would have maybe had something that wasn't filling, and then I'd be hungry at 9 o'clock at night. And have you ever tried to go to sleep when you're hungry at nighttime? It is the worst. So what we call that in the intermittent fasting world is dirty fasting, which is where you can have, this is controversial, but you can have a snack 50 calories or less during your fasting window, maybe once, during that fasting window. Some people choose to have their coffee early in the morning. If you're gonna do that, because that's one of the biggest questions that I received during my intermittent fasting was like, how do you not have coffee till 10? I need coffee. And I always did. I take some cream and sugar in my coffee. You're not supposed to do that. I did. I ended up losing weight anyways. It was fine. Coffee is really important to me. It starts my day. It's a whole ritual. I enjoy it. It's my one vice. Sue me. So I would have my cup of coffee in the morning. I'd add my cream and sugar. It technically, on a dirty fast, you should be less than 50 calories. My cream and sugar weren't, but hey, who's counting, right? So anyways, I would have that and then move on with my life when it comes to my eating window. But like I said, I would sometimes be really hungry trying to fall asleep. And yeah, of course you can have an apple, you can have a rice cake, you can have, apples and a scoop of peanut butter, even though peanut butter is about 90 calories for a tablespoon, and that isn't within the regulations or rules of intermittent fasting. So you have to kind of do it within reason. But I can tell you, during the 7 months that I did intermittent fasting, I screwed up. I use that term loosely. It's never a screw up. We're just kind of adapting, right? Adapt and overcome. But I did have I think at one point I had McDonald's fries at 9 o'clock at night. Once in a blue moon, I would say once every 3 weeks, I would go through a craving late at night, and I would do it. I'm still human. So I don't think, when we think of intermittent fasting, we think of oh, well, if you screw up once, it's done. And that's not the case. I think if you're very cognizant of the fact that you're doing intermittent fasting, it helps a little bit, because you're like, am I hungry, or am I just bored, or am I just wanting a snack, a little treat for me? I do think that comes into play, but there are times when you're genuinely hungry and you have to eat. You can't go to sleep with an empty tummy if you're hungry, So that's the one caveat I'll say on the intermittent fasting. And I know you're all dying to know, how much weight did I lose? What did I start at? What did I finish at? That kind of thing. At my heaviest, I was about 253, which, when I say the number now, I'm like, I didn't feel like that. I truly didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel heavy. And when I looked in the mirror, it's because you know what you look like. You know what I mean? I see myself every day, so I don't feel like I don't know. I didn't feel that weight. And then as I got going and weight kind of melted off a little bit, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like it was time for me to kind of exercise. At my lowest, I was about 171, give or take. I will tell you, it was very hard to maintain that 171, 172. I would fluctuate. Sometimes I'd be 176. I would say on average, a comfortable, now scientifically a comfortable weight for me, I'm only 5'4", is like 120, 130 pounds. When I hear that number, I'm like, where'd Britt go? Where'd she go? But I will say the 180, kind of in and around that number, was really comfortable for me. I'm sure if I continued to, do maybe add in some weightlifting or add in some wholesome, wholeheartedly, gym time, that would have helped. But I just wasn't in the headspace for that at the time. And I will say slowly the weight kind of came back after I did intermittent fasting. I started in January, on a January 1st, and I continued all the way through until probably July, end of August. And then end of August, I kind of fell off. And I was very aware of the fact that I wasn't intermittent fasting anymore. So I supplemented that with walking, the gym, that kind of stuff. But I do feel like most of my success, if not all of my success, was in intermittent fasting. So it was difficult because I knew in my mind that I really needed that intermittent fasting to kind of stay on track. But I just let it go out the window. And that's what they say. People say it's so hard to lose weight. It's very easy to gain it back because it's not overnight. I don't know if anybody watches or plays The Sims where they exercise for a minute and then they just get skinny or they get big. I wish life was like that, but it's not. So the weight can gradually come back on, and then you look in the mirror one day and you're like, or the pants are fitting a little bit tighter and you're like, oh no, did I do this again? That's kind of how I started on the intermittent fasting. I kind of heard about it through everywhere else, but the fact that I could eat what I wanted to, exercise, in my case, minimally. Now, I know if anybody's watching this that knows me, they're like, no, you were hardcore exercising during that time. And I was walking the trails with my family pretty well every day. I was doing sometimes a 3 kilometer, 4 kilometer, 5 kilometer walk, but that was good for me. It was good for my heart health. It was good for, it helped with weight loss, but weight loss is honestly 80% of what we eat. So the fact that intermittent fasting could really make me aware of what I was doing makes a huge difference. For example, if I wanted my breakfast and it was 9 o'clock in the morning, I would be like, okay, Brett, just wait an hour and then you can have your breakfast. And I would enjoy it so much more. I felt like I was making better decisions because I'm I'm kind of on this fitness health journey a little bit. So then instead of having Captain Crunch cereal, I might have, a banana and oatmeal. And it was just one meal at a time. And I'm not saying I didn't eat snackies, okay? I did eat snackies during my intermittent fasting. The whole idea of fasting is you can kind of have whatever you want within reason in that fasting window. So in that 8-hour time, you can have maybe a nice salad for lunch with some chicken, but then you can also have maybe a donut after lunch, or maybe you can have a little pick me up at some point and have a chocolate bar. I think generally speaking, the idea is to eat healthy and whole foods. But again, we're human. And if you struggle with weight and you're watching this video, you're like, it's not as easy for everybody. It's not easy for everybody to choose a salad when you go out for dinner. It's not easy for everybody to make a wholesome whole foods lunch or a dinner or have salmon every night. That's not realistic for a lot of people. A lot of people, A, either can't afford it, B, don't have the time, C, don't have the taste buds for that kind of stuff. So intermittent fasting is wonderful because it kind of gives you the leeway to be a little bit more open to different foods. And I do feel like that's where I had my success. I had my success because I knew in my mind the one rule I needed to follow was eat between 10 and 6. That was my one rule. If I could adhere to that, then I was on a roll. And it wasn't necessarily exercise focused. It wasn't necessarily, weight focused. It was more just controlling my eating. ultimately. I still did track calories only because I was kind of new in that space, and I was like, you know how sometimes like you have like a banana and you're like, oh, I'm so healthy, I had a banana. But then you look and the banana is like 120 calories. I mean, it's a bad example, but sometimes we have foods and we're like, oh, this is such a healthy food. And then we look at the calorie or caloric intake on something and you're like, oh, like you genuinely think you're eating well until you look at the nutritional value and you're like, this is just poppycock. This is not healthy. It's sugary, or it's high in fats, or it's whatever it is. So that's why I was tracking calories, because I didn't know enough to know what was good versus what was bad. Some people will be hardcore. I mean, there's an intermittent fasting subreddit if you're on Reddit. And people are really intense in there. There's some really cool success stories. People will have like different fasting windows. Some people do like 20 hours fasting, 4 hours eating, which is crazy to me. You've seen things like 1 meal a day where they eat like all their calories in one meal. That was super intimidating for me. I was like, is this healthy? Should I be doing intermittent fasting? But when I talked to my doctor about it, they were super receptive. They were like, if this is going to work for you and kind of keep you on a schedule, then this is what you should be doing, right? Anything to help supplement your health and fitness routines or journeys is what they want ultimately. That's kind of how I started. Like I said, at my heaviest, it was definitely somewhere I never want to be again. At my lowest, probably somewhere I never want to be again, but somewhere in between, is healthy for me. You have to do ultimately what's good for you. Where I'm at now, so I've gained some weight back. I actually haven't stepped on the scale in a little while, but I've been dabbling in fitness stuff. I mean, ultimately this channel is not a fitness channel, but I do believe that health and fitness and weight is something that I struggle with in my personal life. And in 2025, I really wanted to add value to people watching, because I look for value online now. I'm tired of people selling me stuff. I'm tired of advertising. So I'm like, what can I give to the internet that's like of value? And intermittent fasting to me really changed my life and changed the way I ate and changed the way I looked at myself and my self-confidence. So I'm hoping, if anything, my story can kind of maybe help some of you. If you're struggling with your weight and you're like, well, where do I start? I don't really want to be on a diet plan. I don't really want to go to the gym. Intermittent fasting for me was a really great way to, ultimately help guide me into the world of fitness and health and exercise. I would say if you have any underlying health conditions, obviously to talk to your doctor. I am not a doctor. I am just somebody who was tired of being heavy and needed to do a change, and intermittent fasting was the easiest way to kind of segue into that world. If you're curious on any more information about like what I ate during the day or what I'm eating now, so currently we're at the end of January. I kind of made January like my little fitness month. Get back into it. I am doing intermittent fasting now, and I'm enjoying it still. I do find it very easy to kind of work with my schedule that I have right now. I'm doing it. So if you're curious about what I'm eating during the day, or you'd like more information on like what foods are you eating, what snackies am I eating, like let me know in the comments below. I can absolutely do that for you. Have you tried intermittent fasting? Are you on a different fasting schedule than the 16-8? If so, let me know below. Like we can have a conversation about it, because I do feel like a lot of people sometimes are intimidated when it comes to weight loss stuff, because you watch it on the screen, like on YouTube, and you're like, I want to do that. Like, I want to be there. I need to be there. I need to be there for my family, for my kids, for me. I need to be there for me. But you don't really know where to start, and you don't have the support system from like your skinny friends around you, which we've all been there. So yeah, I'm just here to tell you that A, I struggle with that stuff too. B, we can do it together. And C, if you mess up during the way, just know that I probably messed up too. So that's the video for today. Ultimately, weight loss is one of those things that you, like I said, you watch and you're like, I want to be that now. I don't want to do the work. I just want to wake up 1 minute and just be like, healthy and delicious and where you want to be in your weight loss journey. Yeah. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.